Step into the darkness where reality blurs and nightmares come alive. I've always been fascinated by the unknown, the things that lurk in the shadows, just beyond our understanding. That's why I became a paranormal investigator, why I spent my nights exploring abandoned buildings and haunted houses, searching for evidence of the supernatural. But nothing could have prepared me for what happened that fateful night, when my team and I decided to conduct an experiment that would change our lives forever. It started innocently enough. We had heard rumors of strange happenings at an old abandoned mansion on the outskirts of town, whispers in the dark, strange shadows moving in the night. We saw it as the perfect opportunity to test out our latest invention, a homemade Ouija board designed to communicate with spirits. We gathered in the dilapidated living room of the mansion, our breath visible in the chilly night air as we set up our equipment. The atmosphere was electric with anticipation, a sense of excitement mingled with apprehension as we prepared to make contact with the other side. I watched as my teammates, Sarah, Mike, and Josh, placed their fingers on the planchette, their faces serious with concentration. I took a deep breath, trying to calm the fluttering in my chest as we began to ask questions, our voices echoing in the empty room. At first, nothing happened. We waited in tense silence, the only sound the creaking of the old floorboards beneath us. But then, slowly, almost imperceptibly, the planchette began to move, gliding across the board with an otherworldly grace. My heart raced as we watched in awe, the letters spelling out words that seemed to come from nowhere. The spirit claimed to be a young girl who had died in the mansion years ago, her voice whispering through the planchette with an eerie clarity. But as the night wore on, the atmosphere began to change. The air grew heavy with a sense of foreboding, a feeling that something was terribly wrong. The planchette moved faster now, its movements erratic and unpredictable as the spirit's messages grew more sinister. And then, without warning, the planchette flew off the board entirely, spinning wildly through the air before crashing to the ground with a resounding thud. We looked at each other in horror, our hearts pounding in our chests as we realized that we had unwittingly unleashed something malevolent into our midst. That's when things started to get really strange. Sarah was the first to go, a look of terror in her eyes as she claimed to hear voices whispering in her ear, urging her to do unspeakable things. We tried to calm her, to reassure her that it was just her imagination running wild, but deep down, we knew that something was very wrong. And then Mike started acting strange too, his movements jerky and unnatural, his eyes vacant and empty as if he were no longer in control of his own body. He lashed out at us with a violence that was unlike anything I had ever seen, his voice twisted and distorted as he spoke in a language that I didn't recognize. We realized too late that we were in over our heads, that we had stumbled upon something far more dangerous than we could have ever imagined. We tried to leave, to escape from the mansion and the horrors that lurked within, but it was already too late. The entity had taken hold of us, its dark influence spreading like a virus through our minds and bodies. We were no longer ourselves, no longer in control of our own actions as we became puppets to its will. I watched in horror as my friends turned on each other, their faces twisted with madness as they fought and screamed in the darkness. I tried to intervene, to stop the madness unfolding before my eyes, but it was like trying to hold back a tidal wave with my bare hands. And then, just when I thought all hope was lost, I heard a voice, a faint whisper in the back of my mind, urging me to fight, to resist the entity's influence with every ounce of strength I had left. With a surge of adrenaline-fueled determination, I pushed back against the darkness, fighting tooth and nail for my very soul. And as the entity's grip began to loosen, I felt a sense of triumph wash over me, a glimmer of hope in the darkness that threatened to consume me. But the battle was far from over. The entity still lurked in the shadows, its malevolent presence a constant reminder of the horrors we had faced and the darkness that still lingered within us. As I stumbled out of the mansion, battered and bruised but alive, I knew that I would never be the same again. The experience had changed me in ways that I couldn't even begin to comprehend, leaving behind scars that would never fully heal. But as I looked up at the stars twinkling in the night sky, I knew that I had survived, that I had faced the darkness and emerged on the other side, stronger and more resilient than I ever thought possible. And as I walked away from that accursed mansion, leaving behind the horrors that lurked within its walls, I made a solemn vow to never again dabble in forces beyond my control, to never again invite the darkness into my life.